Last summer started with a suitcase rolling across our driveway and a word I didn't ask for. Independent. Before I go any further, please like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you're listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled. My mom smiled as she pressed a wrinkled $20 bill into my hand. Her lipstick was perfect. Her mood was light. She smelled like airport perfume and freedom. "You're old enough now, Noah," she said, like she was handing me a medal instead of responsibility. "Just order food if you need to." Order food. With what confidence? She kissed my forehead quickly, like checking something off a list, grabbed her suitcase, and walked out. No instructions. No plan. No backup adult. Just the sound of wheels clicking over concrete and the door shutting behind her. The house went quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. It felt hollow. "I'll be fine," I said to the hallway, laughing a little because the silence was awkward. My laugh echoed back at me, thinner than I expected. My hands were shaking, but I stuffed them in my pockets so I wouldn't have to look at that. I stared at the 20 in my palm. It didn't feel like money. It felt like a countdown. Day 1, I told myself this was a test. A challenge. Something I could win. I lined up the cans in the pantry like soldiers, checked the fridge that already looked tired, and promised myself I'd prove her right. But as the hours passed, the house felt bigger. Louder in its quiet. And that word she used, independent, started to sound like another word entirely. Abandoned. If you were 11 and your parent handed you $20 and left for a month, would you call that trust? Or something else? Because that was just the beginning. By the time night fell, I realized something terrifying. No one knew I was alone. Not a neighbor. Not a teacher. Not a single adult on this planet. And as the days moved forward, that $20 bill wouldn't just disappear. Something else would too. But the first real problem didn't hit me days later. It hit me 10 minutes after the taxi pulled away. My mom had left an emergency credit card on the counter like a punchline. Shiny. Untouched. Useless. I found that out standing by the door, phone in hand, trying to order food. One app declined it. Then another. Then another. I laughed under my breath at first, because it felt unreal. Like, ha ha ha, of course. It wasn't activated. No PIN. No instructions. Just plastic pretending to be help. So it was me, the dead card, and the $20. I turned it into a game. Survival math. Bread sliced so thin you could almost see through it. Peanut butter spread like I was afraid it might disappear if I touched too much. I told myself this would be a funny story one day. Something people would laugh about. By day 3, no one was laughing. Especially not my stomach. The pantry looked like a bad joke. Cans I didn't know how to open. A cereal box filled with more air than food. Pickles I hated but still stared at like they might apologize and taste better. I turned the TV on just to hear voices. Any voices. The house creaked like it was breathing, and that scared me more than the hunger. That's when I opened my notebook. I wrote one word at the top of the page. Evidence. I don't know why. It just felt important. Under it, I wrote everything. My age. The money. The food. The silence. Writing it down made my chest feel tight and steady at the same time. I opened my phone and recorded a video. My face looked smaller than I remembered. My voice sounded quieter. Day 3, I said. I'm still alone. I saved it fast, heart racing. Part of me hoped no one would ever see it. Another part of me wanted it to explode. I thought about texting my best friend, Lily. My thumb hovered over her name. If I told her the truth, it would become real. So I lied instead. Hope you're having fun. No reply. Have you ever been hungry and scared but still told everyone you were fine? By day 5, standing up made my head spin. I ate cereal dry from the bag, counting handfuls like they mattered more than anything else. In my notebook, I added another line. If I disappear, this proves it wasn't my fault. That was the moment everything changed. This wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about what would happen when someone finally noticed. And on day 7, someone did. The doorbell rang like it didn't belong to my life. I froze, cereal crumbs still on my fingers. No one rang our bell. Ever. It rang again. Then knocking. Real knocking. My heart felt like it was trying to escape. I almost pretended I wasn't home. Almost. But a thought cut through the fear like lightning. What if this is the moment? I cracked the door open. A man stood there wearing a green jacket with my school's logo. It took a second to recognize him without a classroom behind him. "Hey, Noah," he said softly. "I'm Mr. Reynolds, the school counselor." I laughed a little. A broken sound. "Hi." He asked if he could come in. I stepped back without thinking. Inside, the house told the truth before I could. The empty counter. The quiet. The fridge that didn't try to hide itself. "My parents are in Italy," I said flatly. "For how long?" "A month." "And who's with you?" The lie sat on my tongue. Heavy. Familiar. "Just me." Something in his face changed. He sat down slowly and asked about food. About money. About calls. I laughed again. This time it came out sharp. "They left me $20. He didn't laugh. "This isn't okay," he said. "This is neglect." That word hit harder than hunger. Neglect. If telling the truth could change everything, would you still protect the people who hurt you? When he asked if I wanted help, real help, my throat burned. "Yes," I said, "but I want them to see it. All of it." As he stepped away to make a call, I looked at my notebook. Evidence didn't feel like a secret anymore. It felt like power. But what happened next wasn't just about help. It was about consequences. They came home early. Not because they missed me. Not because they suddenly remembered they had a kid. They came back because someone finally noticed. The morning they returned, the house didn't feel like mine anymore. Adults filled the space where silence used to live. Papers spread across the kitchen table. My notebook lay open in the center, the word evidence staring up like it had been waiting for this moment its whole life. My phone rested beside it, frozen on a paused video of my own face from days earlier. Smaller. Paler. Still trying to sound brave. My stomach twisted so hard it almost made me laugh. Of course this is how it would end. Not with an apology. Not with understanding. But with witnesses. The sound of tires on the driveway cut through the air. Doors slammed. Laughter floated in from outside, light and careless, like nothing bad had ever happened here. My legs felt weak. The caseworker stepped closer to me and spoke quietly. "You don't have to protect anyone today." The front door opened. My mom walked in first, dragging her suitcase behind her just like she had when she left. Same confident stride. Same coat. Same look like the world bent slightly to make room for her. My dad followed, still talking, still distracted, until he looked up. Everything stopped. Their eyes jumped from the stranger at the table to Mr. Reynolds by the counter, to Mrs. Harris standing near the door, and finally landed on me. Standing there. Not hiding. Not smiling. "What is this?" my mom demanded, letting go of the suitcase. It tipped over with a dull thud. "Why are there people in my house?" The supervisor stood calmly. Introduced herself. Asked them to sit. My mom didn't. She stared at me instead, her jaw tight, her eyes sharp. Noah, she said slowly, like she was warning me, what did you tell them? For a split second, the old instinct kicked in. Apologize. Smooth it over. Make it easier for her. I felt that familiar pull in my chest, that need to keep the peace even if it broke me. Then I saw my phone. My own face staring back at me from the screen. I told them what happened, I said. I told them the truth. My dad laughed awkwardly, like this was all some big misunderstanding. There's been a mix-up, he said. Noah's very mature for his age. We left him food, money, a credit card. Kids today are capable. The supervisor slid a paper across the table. This card was never activated. Another page. These photos were taken 1 week into your trip. Another. These are your call logs. Silence stretched, thick and heavy. My mom finally sat down, more stunned than willing. Expired food doesn't mean he was starving, she snapped. He exaggerates. He likes attention. Something in me cracked open then. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. I counted cereal pieces, I said. I ate in the dark so I wouldn't waste electricity. I told myself being hungry was just part of growing up. Mrs. Harris stepped forward, her voice shaking with anger she didn't try to hide. He was dizzy when we found him. He didn't come to me because he thought needing help would disappoint you. My mom's face tightened. This is being blown out of proportion. The supervisor turned to me. Are you comfortable showing them what you recorded? My hands shook as I picked up the phone. I hit play. The room filled with my younger voice. Day 3. I'm still alone. The camera panned across the empty shelves. The quiet kitchen. The loneliness you could almost hear. My mom covered her mouth. My dad stared at the floor. No, she whispered. No, this can't be happening. But it was. The supervisor folded her hands. Based on our findings, this qualifies as neglect under state law. Effective immediately, Noah will not return to unsupervised care. My mom shook her head violently. We just needed a break, she cried. Adults get tired too. We didn't mean to hurt him. I stepped forward before I could stop myself. My voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. You always told me actions have consequences, I said. You taught me that. The room went completely still. This is what your choice looks like. Tears spilled down her face. Please, she begged. Tell them you want to come home. I thought about the nights alone. The hunger. The silence pretending to be independence. I want to be safe, I said. I want to be somewhere I don't disappear. That's when I knew something had shifted forever. If choosing safety meant disappointing the people who raised you, would you still choose it? We left before they did. As I walked across the grass back to Mrs. Harris's house, my chest felt heavy and light all at once. I hadn't destroyed my family. I had just stopped hiding what they did. But what happened after that meeting didn't just change where I lived. It changed who had power in my story. Living at Mrs. Harris's house didn't feel real at first. It felt borrowed, like I might wake up and be back in my room, staring at the same empty walls and pretending everything was fine. But mornings smelled like toast instead of hunger. Someone asked if I slept okay. Not out of habit. Not to fill silence. They actually waited for the answer. At night, I didn't lie awake listening to the house breathe. I slept. Deeply. The kind of sleep that sneaks up on you when your body finally believes it's allowed to rest. My parents were allowed supervised visits now. Short ones. Awkward ones. They smiled too hard and spoke too carefully, like actors who suddenly realized the script had changed. My mom cried a lot. My dad kept saying things like, "We're learning," and "We didn't know it was that bad," like not knowing erased anything. It didn't. The caseworker explained the rules, the steps, the timelines. Words like counseling, evaluations, temporary placement floated through the air. None of it sounded dramatic. None of it sounded like revenge. It sounded like accountability. One evening, while Mrs. Harris stirred a pot on the stove, my phone buzzed. My mom had sent another long message. Paragraphs stacked on paragraphs. Apologies tangled with explanations. Love mixed with excuses. I didn't open it right away. I sat at the table with my notebook instead. The same one. The one that started everything. Evidence. I flipped through the pages. The early entries shook with fear. Later ones felt sharper, clearer, not angry, just honest. I added a new page. I am safe now. People saw me. That matters. My hand didn't shake when I wrote it. Later that week, I was asked if I wanted to speak at the hearing. I thought about saying no. Let the adults talk. Let them decide. That would have been easier. But easier is how I disappeared the first time. So I said yes. The room smelled like old paper and quiet judgment. My parents sat across from me, smaller somehow. Not weak. Just human. I told the truth. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just explained what it felt like to be alone with $20, and a word like independent pressed into my hands like it was enough. The judge listened. In the end, my parents weren't taken away in handcuffs. Life isn't a movie. But they lost something important. The automatic right to be believed. They had to earn trust back now. Slowly. Carefully. With eyes watching. That summer, I learned how to cook more than survival meals. I learned how to ask for help without apologizing. I learned that being strong doesn't mean staying quiet. It means refusing to disappear. Right here, pause with me for a moment. Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. My mom still messages me sometimes. She says she's changed. Maybe she has. Maybe she will. I don't know yet. What I do know is this. When she came back from Europe expecting souvenirs and stories, she walked into something she never prepared for. A record. A witness. A kid who turned hunger, silence, and fear into proof. And when she whispered, "This can't be happening," I understood something that will stay with me forever. It already had. It started the moment she chose a plane ticket over me. So tell me, if you were 11, left alone with $20 while your parents chased freedom, would you bury the truth to protect their image? Or would you do what I did and let the truth be the thing that finally saves you?